Assalamu alaikum. I hope you guys are all well. So I had a bit of a technical issue. Well, I'm going to blame it, but it's not technical. I put myself on mute as I went onto YouTube to play the video for you guys. And I spent about 40 minutes almost, just talking to thin air. Alhamdulillah. So hopefully this would be a bit shorter, inshallah. And I just want to say Jazakallah khairan for all those who joined prior. I know you guys were so kind and you just, entertained yourselves on the chat. So may Allah reward you. So subhanAllah, I just came off another stream, or watching another stream, should I say, another live. So I need to get my thoughts together. Okay, so basically, the reason why I came up with this topic was because there was a video that was actually um, quite viral a few weeks back, and I never really thought anything of it. But then, as I've started doing different sort of topics in the last couple of days, I thought, do you know what? This would give us a bit more clarity as to the society that we live in, unfortunately. Now, I mentioned prior that the clip that I'm going to play, so this is going to be a bit different. So I'm going to play the video and I'll kind of interject myself. Wa alaikum assalam, jazakallah khairan all for joining. Was in the stream, by the way, the live with the Sheikh, and subhanallah, wasn't it so beautiful? I learned so much from it, subhanallah. The dua as well. May Allah reward them all. Ameen. So yeah, I'm going to play the video. For me, this video was actually quite shocking. I have to be honest, because I was just thinking, wow, the contradictions that seem to go on in society, and how, unfortunately, us as sisters, we sometimes fall prey to the narratives that get played out within society. Now, for those of us who are quite active on social media, you might have come across this because the gentleman has a YouTube video and it went viral. It was to do with, so basically, he is some kind of a image consultant, and he gets viewers to come on the channel where they speak to him or they call in and they chat to him, and then he consults them about matters of relationship and also how to get a man who's high earning. So again, it's just pushing this narrative of your beauty and your sexuality as well as the finances. So really what it does is it just focuses on these narratives that we see, subhanallah. Yeah, it was beautiful, alhamdulillah. Stay connected to us when you play the video. No, I'm going to, inshallah. So I've got my microphone, so I'm going to take that off, and inshallah I'll check it out just to make sure that it hasn't put me on mute. Or if I just, put it on myself last time by mistake. So just to go back to the consultant. So a consultant really is someone who works with imagery. So they work with an appearance, behavior, and also communication. So subhanallah, this focus is really on the physical, which creates expectations, desires, unmet needs, some sort of manipulation as well, and desperation, subhanallah, and also disappointment. May Allah forgive us. Wa alaikum assalam. Thank you all for tuning. So I'm going to, inshallah, play the video, and I'm going to make sure that I'll come back to us. Oh, I need to share the screen. I miss seeing you guys as well, by the way, subhanallah. Last night was such an interesting conversation. I'm sure you guys could all attest to that. So, okay, it's made it bigger. I'm going to take... So it put me on mute as I played the video.
It's proven to you that you're not.
My love life is not that good. I agree with you.
That's my point, and ma'am, and that's my point. You ladies all feel like, listen, you ladies all feel like you're the exception to the rule. And then when someone like myself comes along and gives you a dose of reality, instead of just accepting it, it's like, yeah, but Yeah, but I'm special. You don't know any men on this level that are not your father, that aren't related to you. That means you don't know these men. You don't know where to go get them. You don't know what they want. But you're still saying, pick me. They don't want mid 30-year-old baby mamas. I'm trying to be polite, man, but they don't want those.
Can I ask you a question?
Did you hear what I said?
Yes.
Why is that so? Okay, go ahead.
So what?
Go ahead.
From my point of view, I feel like I get what you're saying. They do have better options, but also those better options are younger girls. Those younger girls don't necessarily 20-year-olds are not necessarily attracted to 45-year-olds.
Bullshit. I'm 51 and I can't beat them off with a stick. That's another one of you lies. No, younger women are attracted to older men. What are you talking about?
So can you see me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So do you feel like a woman like me?
Uh-huh. What would you rank yourself on a scale from 1 to 10? You cannot use 7.
Would I rate myself?
Just your face.
My face when I wake up, 5, but when I put myself together, 6.
Okay. And how tall are you?
5'5".
Dress size.
I'm sorry?
Your dress size.
A 3.
Okay. So that makes you, if you give yourself a 5, that's average.
Yes.
So average looking women tend not to get high earning men. They tend to.
So I'm just going to come back to us, or subhanallah, this man thinks he's Malcolm X or something with those glasses. I know, right? May Allah protect us. So could you just see, and I'm sure you guys have heard, how he was talking about her appearance. So this is completely different to what Islam tells us as a woman. We're meant to cover ourselves up. So not only did he put this young woman up on here, and by the way, there's wrongs and rights from both ends. So I'm not concentrating on that. But I think the lesson that I want to put across for us as women and the narratives that society, because this is society, whether we believe it or not. There's this man, he is an image consultant, so he deals with imagery, and he's sitting in a nice place, part of his I don't know, his living room or wherever he is. And subhanallah, he's 51. So he mentioned that, young women are attracted to him and he has to beat them off with a stick. But for her, he's saying to her, she's 35, she's a baby mother, and considering her looks and her physical, I guess, appearance, she's average. And that average women are not going to be able to get someone who's high earning. So firstly, let's just kind of break this down. We know in Islam that men are the providers, right? Alhamdulillah. When men provide, they have a certain role, right? And as women, we also have a certain role. But what society does, it flips that round, and now we have what he's saying to this young woman is that she has to showcast herself. And subhanallah, now that she's presented herself, he said, no, you're not good enough. And on top of that, you're a baby mother. So we'll go a little bit into this, and inshallah, I'll come back. He's fighting them off, really. I know, right? Subhanallah. But hey, people have a different way of thinking.
To get average men.
So,
did you? I mean, stop right there. Stop right there. Stop right there. Breathe and digest. You're 35 years old, and you can look around and see the world. You don't tend to see higher earning men with average looking women. Off rip. If you do see them, they got their average looking woman when they were both really young and he built his way up. But a man earning the kind of money you're talking about does not go for an average looking woman.
I mean, my body is not average, so.
But ma'am, you please don't make me say it.
So can you see that literally her next response was, but my body is not average. So what does this say? It says that as a woman, your only value, and even for her to actually have that belief, is saying that you only have value based on your body. And even the body now, because she's had kids and whatever else, even that is still classed as no, subhanallah. And just to give a little bit of background about this woman, apparently she's a six-figure earning woman. So about 9 years ago or so, she said that she started her own company, some pet grooming company, and for the last 3 years, she's been making about six figures. So society told her to go after the money, right? And this is what we program into our young women, leave your, the vital years of being vibrant and being able to, instead of cultivating, your connection to Allah and being able to build, the skills and the attributes or qualities that you need to build a family unit, you're told to go off now and spend that on providing, for society. Subhanallah, you go into the work environment. So think of it this way now. As a young woman, you get hyped and gassed to go and be independent. Okay, if you're married, you only have, a companion that you're meant to acquiesce and kind of treat him in a way where, inshallah, is pleasing for him and pleasing for you. But when you go into the corporate world, you have to have 10 managers. So now you have the CEO, all the other managers, assistant managers, supervisors, whatever else, all the people above you, now you have to go and request to them. You have to go and cater to them. But society tells you, no, that's okay. You can go out of the home and be humiliated, be degraded, be dehumanized. People allow people to take advantage of you and make money of you on top of that, right? But if you choose to stay at home and say, you know what, I want to cultivate my womanly traits, inshallah, to build a household with my husband, that's oppressive. And it's, the irony of it all is really messed up. May Allah forgive us. And I mean, like this young woman, alhamdulillah, Allah created her, right? And this is the thing, when we rely on the physical attributes that Allah's given us, like if Allah's blessed you with beauty, that's a form of testing for you. So if you are using that beauty to do haram stuff, if you're using that beauty to, participate in things that are only going to be to your own detriment, then you're not actually fulfilling the purpose of you having that, beauty or that blessing Allah's given you. But instead, we tell young women, move away from acting righteously and being in touch and knowing your truth and your purpose and why you're here, and also to worship your creator, because that's not a positive thing. That's something that's oppressive. That's something that takes away your right. We're going to liberate you. But this young woman, when she was 16, she said she got pregnant. So she's actually got a 13-year-old son. And the traits that he's saying that men are not going to want her, or the problems that she has that men are not going to want her for, right from the time she started up until today in this point, she came here because she was listening to society. And this is where I talk about the group thinking. When we think as a group and we acquiesce to people's way of thinking, where it doesn't include morality, where it doesn't include any form of, self-respect, where it doesn't include, having a greater purpose other than you being on this earth to fulfill someone else's need, whether they make money from you, or whatever it is, subhanallah. Like she said, but my body is not average. Again, like we think of young women now, subhanallah, where everything is so hypersexualized. You know, I would like to think people go to the gym, majority of the people, inshallah, to work out and to keep in good health. But I sometimes wonder if that's the case, because when we look at society, everyone is talking about, you know, how well you look and how much you can capitalize on that physique or on that attribute that you could, you know, what, get attention for. Subhanallah. May Allah protect us. Wa alaikum assalam. Thank you for joining. I hope you guys can still hear me, inshallah.
So what? I really just wanted some advice. I love your.
I'm giving you advice, but you're not taking it. The advice is, man.
So another thing, he's saying about giving advice. So as I mentioned about the young women, so she's lived her whole life because she was a group thinker. You know, society was thinking for her, where you're told 1 minute you're liberated, go and, you know, sleep with however many people you want. You know, you can be just like a man or just as good of a man, even better than a man. So yeah, one hand, we're going to tell you we're liberating you, go and, you know, while out. But then on the other hand, we're going to condemn you because now we're going to tell you that you're not good enough because you've made mistakes. And like she said, I only want advice. So subhanallah, the other thing that comes to my mind is, you know, how this young woman is lost. And this is how a lot of us as women are lost, because we, you know, obviously for whatever reason, you know, she clearly seems like she doesn't have any male figures around her that are protecting her and that are looking after her. And the proof of that is she's ringing a complete and utter stranger online who she doesn't even know anything about, really, other than he has, you know, a few subscribers, and he seems to be, you know, dressed well in a suit, and he has a Red Bull and a little, you know, cabinet, not cabinet, laptop, and a little candle next to him. Other than that, like, what else do you see? And for her, you can hear the desperation. You know, I just called up, I needed some advice. So that means when society tells you and pushes you out of the door, and then, you know, they entice you with all of these things that are only going to be self-destructive, right? Then you're left to constantly want to go to society and say, well, what can I do? You know, okay, I'm not good enough. What can I change? And sometimes we wonder, where is this pressure coming from when it comes to women? Why do women have such low self-esteem? And that's because everything about society and the way it's constructed and the way it's designed, it's to get you to be dependent as a woman. You're dependent, like you're dependent on what they think, what they, you know, how they tell you what you should do, how you behave. But then when the consequences are, you know, you now being 35 and spent majority of your youth chasing to make money, and then you make mistakes along the way, they're not going to be so favorable for you. Like, they're not going to be forgiving, unfortunately. Instead, you get condemned like this. I mean, he's not talking in a very kind way from, and by the way, he still goes on. So if they were intellectual and educated, they wouldn't even listen to him. Subhanallah, that is so true. Don't take his advice. I totally agree, subhanallah. As young women, I think it's really important to understand the mentality of group thinking. So the term group thinking was actually introduced by a psychologist, I think in the early 70s. And subhanallah, the way it works is that people become, so I'll finish off this video, inshallah, and then I'll come back and talk about it a bit more in depth, and then also read your comments, inshallah.
Ma'am, you're average looking at best.
I'm taking it in, but
okay, but you're not accepting the fact that, okay, average looking women, average looking woman who's older, average looking older woman with a 13-year-old son Average looking woman with a 13-year-old son with a sketchy baby daddy. This gets.
Can I also just interject there? He said, with a sketchy baby daddy, right? So this is where, as women, we allow people to take advantage of us. So when she was younger, clearly that man, she didn't, know, nobody taught her, nobody clearly guided her to help her to, inshallah, not make these mistakes, because these mistakes, they come from when you don't have knowledge. So he doesn't take into consideration that that man, from what she says, that, he's not really in the child's life that much. And I don't think they have or had good relationships or something, because he talks about a sketchy father. So, but it was the same guy who, enticed her, who, and by the way, that she has accountability for this as well, because this is what now she's realizing, right? Now that she's woken up to the truth of things. But beforehand, she was overwhelmed by emotions. She probably thought that he loved her and she loved him. And when men call you or give you attention, and sometimes they try to, play with your mind, and say pretty things to you and say nice things, because those things seem validating at the time. And as a young woman, if you don't always get to hear those words, especially from any male figures in your household, where you're made to feel beautiful and you are appreciated in your household, then when you go outside and a young man, whistles or says things that are a bit, subhanallah, un-Islamic, or not coming from a place of respecting you as a human being, instead of seeing you as, a prey, and he now becomes the predator and he has to hunt you and try to get you with whatever words and whatever tricks and things that he can. It's hard. It really is hard, because then now you have to, like I said, face the consequences. I had another point, but inshallah it'll come to me.
Worse every time I say something. And now you're asking for a man who's in the top 10% of men. You don't qualify for one. And you're making, I don't want to have to go there, but when you put in all these other factors, why can't you just get a man that's an average guy?
Sometimes I feel like in order to fully submit, I have to feel like he's in.
Well, then you're gonna die alone. How about that? Let me just cut to the chase, ma'am. You can feel like what you want to, but women like you die alone, straight up, because you think you're better than the men that you qualify for. And the only reason, honestly, ma'am, that I can see a woman like yourself really thinking you deserve more is because you earn more money than most people around you in North Carolina.
So I wonder if you guys heard the contradiction that's there. So society tells you, as a woman, you should be liberated, and you know what? You don't want to be dependent on a man financially, so you should get yourself financially secured, right? So you can have a form of independence. Okay, so she's clearly done that. So she's actually listened to society, because now she's saying, do you know what? And he just clearly proved it. He said the only reason why you don't want an average man is because you think you're better than them. And, I don't know where it says that she's better than them, because that's what society told her. Society told her, so a man doesn't oppress you, and go and make your own money so you can be, just as equal to him. But then we're forgetting the innate disposition that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put within us, and the differences between the genders. So she's now making six figures. She doesn't need to have a man. Like, if that was the case, and society is saying to her it's all about the money, she's got the money. He's told her it's not about the money. Like, make up your mind, subhanallah. Like, it's really confusing. It really is confusing. And then he said to her, you're going to die alone. Like, So the feeling that she wants to find love and connect to someone, when she's done everything that society has told her to do, get liberated. So she went and ended up, being exposed to sexual activities. She got an unwanted pregnancy from that. She ended up keeping the baby, going through the struggles, right, of being a single mom and God knows what else. And then on top of that, she thought, okay, well, I need to make my own money. Now she's made all this money. Now she's been told, well, you're average, at best. At best, you're average. And on top of that, you need to get validated by a man. So let's get one thing straight, right? So a lot of the within the fashion industry, it's men who actually, supply a lot of the clothes that we wear. It's men that, when we talk about, the dating arena, it's mostly men that are advising other men. Women that get advised by women, it doesn't really tend to normally work. It's always men. Like, he actually says to her towards the end, come and get a consultation with me. So he's making money off people. So this is where people take advantage of us. So they tell you what to do. When it doesn't work out and things all go pear-shaped, now you have to degrade yourself. Now you're basically in a very unfavorable position where you allow people to talk to you and to disrespect you and talk to you in ways where any self-respecting human being wouldn't allow. Subhanallah, he I don't know if you guys saw it, but he said to her about taking the wig off and the eyelashes, and if you take all of that off, like, how would you be? Subhanallah. And this is what society told her: put on an eyeliner, put on a wig, put on eyelashes, and you know what? Hey, that's how you get a man. She's done everything by the looks of what society said to her. Okay, she's not like, drop dead gorgeous in his eyes, but at the end of the day, she's drop dead gorgeous to another man. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us in different variations, different shapes and sizes for a reason. But society wants you to fit into a particular stereotypical box that they've created. Why? Because that means they're in control of you. Now, if you are going against what God, right, the creator who created you, the beauty, the value, all the qualities he put within you, you're disregarding all of that. And then now you're going to another human being and you're saying, give me value. You're only going to get the value that that person thinks you deserve. And the first step is you going to them in the first place. That already sets you up to fail, because you're in need. And when you're in need of something, that's where you can allow people to take advantage of you. She's making 6 figures. Subhanallah, she could just, get on with it. She also mentioned about being submissive. She said that, if a man is not ambitious, she finds it difficult to respect him and for her to be submissive. So having that need of wanting to collaborate with the opposite gender in a way where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala designed it in a relationship form, it's something that's healthy, and it's something that everybody yearns for. Everybody desires it. And that's okay. But what's not okay is you falling prey and not having a clear direction. You compromising every aspect of your deen. For people who literally, like we've just seen, who say that, Alhamdulillah, I'm gonna read your comments. Shocking thing to say, right? Subhanallah. So maybe we'll stop. I think he still goes on, but we'll just stop him from talking anymore, and I'll come back to the comments. Jazakallah khairan. Most women are told to look attractive, and most of them end up in sex trafficking, subhanallah, and homeless because they use their body rather than their intellect and education. That is so true, Ali Mahmood. Don't take his advice. Definitely, Hubert sister. If they were intelligent, yeah, I think I've read that. I'm okay. That's a beautiful comment. Jazakallah khairan. If women knew the rights Islam gives them, subhanallah, the Hubert sister, I so agree. I think that's the beauty of Islam, is that there's a reason why we're told to wear hijab and to cover and to protect ourselves, is because we're not dependent on someone else's validation. Like the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us, we're already enough. We know that inshallah we're already perfect. We have inherent worth. Just for the simple fact that we exist right now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, by his, wisdom, he knows that, there is worth within us. Yes, some of us might, all of us pretty much might fall prey to sinning, might fall prey to, or we have flaws that we need to work around. But that's progress. That's part of the process as well. And we're, inshallah, we're, learning to be different and to become better people. But subhanallah, to have that kind of mentality, I think, and this goes for all races, subhanallah, I've seen so many people that put this a stigma a stigma on women, where they feel like, they're not pretty enough and they're not good, good enough for a man. And this is, subhanallah, low self-esteem is really true. So when we, inshallah, so to recognize group thinking, right, it's useful, I think, in the way for us to identify the situations that we find ourselves in and how they mostly occur. So group thinkers normally feel threatened. They either feel threatened physically or through threat to their identity. And they may develop a strong sense of us versus them mentality as well. And I think this is where, as sisters, it's easier for us to look at Islam as being oppressive, because we feel like there's a sense of freedom that gets taken away once we submit ourselves to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we fail to realize that's our true liberation. As a woman, imagine you don't have to put yourself out there. You don't have to cater to anyone else. You don't have to fall prey to the traps of society. But all you do is you worship Allah to the best of your ability, and you hold tight to, the Sunnah and the teachings of the Quran in a way, inshallah, where it's meant to protect your heart from these ill, things that are happening in society, and at the same time to connect you closer to Allah, to keep you dignified. If we all covered up as women, we wouldn't have this whole comparison thing. Like, this is the thing with, and I'm not talking ill of men, because we know men have a sense of weakness when it comes to women, right? And if a man is not practicing, it's really in his best interest to make sure that his desires are fulfilled. It's in his best interest, if he's not God conscious, for him to get what he needs. And he's going off by his carnal feelings. Because, like I said, this man is an imagery consultant, right? An image consultant. And that means he's become an expert in how to manipulate people, in how to get people to perceive you a certain way, because he's got the knowledge of how to tap into that, because he knows that, what society values. So if society values you to be dressed a certain way, or to speak a certain way, or to behave a certain way, and that's what his expertise are. He trains you to do that so you get what you want. But there's nothing in there about spirituality. There's nothing in there about morality, about, respecting humanity in general. Like, I haven't even really finished it to the end, but he starts swearing at her. He calls her all these other really random names, and then he tells her that she's wasting his time. And I'm thinking, imagine someone that came to you that needs some form of advice because they're going through, whatever difficulties they are. And in the back of your mind, you're thinking of A, making money from them, B, getting, more viewers. So you're kind of putting them out there. And you're using the fact that, she called up and it's your show as an excuse. And then on top of that, you're teaching other men how to treat women and how to talk to them. Because young men are watching him, And they're thinking, yeah, you know what? I can speak to a woman like that. I can call her out of her name. I don't need to give her respect because she's just average. SubhanAllah, may Allah protect us. I mean, now I'm curious to know how to become an image consultant. SubhanAllah, may Allah protect you from it, brother. May Allah protect you. If you're using it, inshallah, to do good, definitely. But anything else, may Allah protect you. Does she want the man that she's drop dead gorgeous to, though? Or does she want someone to her standards which may not even want her? That's a really good question, Baba Abdullah. Thank you for joining. Well, see, this is the thing. I think to answer that question, and this is only from my perspective, I think when you are a group thinker, you don't think for yourself. I think, especially as a woman, you don't think for yourself because it's like I said, it's easier for you in order to fit in, go with the narrative of us versus them, right? Especially within society. So when you say, you know, does she want the man that she's dropped dead gorgeous to? I would say no, because society is saying to her to go for someone who's out of her standards, right? Not out of her standards, but out of her expectations. So society sets a certain expectation for a woman where it's okay, we know that women generally do need someone who provides for them, right? Hence why in Islam it's very clear cut the roles of men and women. Men are meant to provide, you know, various different things, not just financially. So when as a woman you live in a society where it's completely ridden with fear and survival, and it's survival of the fittest, right? It's easier for you as a woman then to think, well, I need someone who's a high earner. Like the woman I mentioned, she is already making six figures. So, like I said, whether she, but she still wants to, so women practice hypergamy, right? So she still wants to get a man who could earn more than her because her money is, the way she sees it, is limited. Because if she gets pregnant, if she has to stop working, uh, generally out of men and women tend to be more of a spender when men earn. So with us as women, we have far more finance, you know, when it comes to money that goes out of the home, whether it's we want to buy a new sofa or we want to change things around in the house or whether we want to like have a new haircut one week and then dye it the next week. Like our maintenance as women, the way society has brought us up to believe is that in order to keep up with this facade of whatever beauty is, we have to keep maintaining it, right? Like even the makeup industry and a lot of the makeup cosmetic sort of industry when it comes to makeup and stuff, it's mostly owned by men, you know, because it's easier to sell. This is what I'm saying, like women are literally financial abundance for people. Even now, if we look on YouTube, right? Subhanallah. Can I just also just interject here? Is that I don't know if you guys have seen YouTube videos, right? I honestly, I only saw this like recently, and some of, especially the younger female YouTube personalities, and I've also seen a Muslim sister the other day. They actually, when they're on YouTube and they're doing a video or whatever it is they do, it's done through the bedroom. Like I was watching this Muslim sister's YouTube channel the other day. She was talking about something that was a really interesting topic, you know. And I normally gravitate towards sisters that wear hijab and things like that. I still watch other things, but it's just because I thought, oh, that's a really refreshing topic. I wanted to like know more about it. And I remember she was in a particular setting, and her bed was right behind her. And I honestly thought, like, what is the world coming to? For you to expose certain really intimate, you know, parts of yourself in that way, and to let the world see where you sleep. It, subhanallah, we've become so unconsciously sexualized, is unbelievable. Even like the other YouTubers I mentioned, most YouTubers now that I've seen, if they're ever going to do a video, it's always by their bed. And I'm like, what is the topic you're talking about? And what is, I don't understand, why do I need to see your bedroom and how many cushions you've got or how many pillows or what your bedding looks like? Like for someone to, for you to allow people to intrude in your personal space like that, I think it's a very hard, subhanallah, very, very hard, because I didn't think anything bad of it, but when I really paid attention to what would be the purpose, like if there's something that's beneficial you're sharing, you could just, get a little like a little vase or something, or a little plant or whatever, and just sit in your sofa and do whatever you need to do. But for you to go to your bedroom and for people to admire and to, imagine, and you don't know these sick people, subhanAllah, on the internet, may Allah protect us, what goes through their mind. So it's like we've become so used to the whole like external stimuli, and thoughts and things that go into, like, we've just become so unconscious. May Allah forgive us and guide us. Ameen. Ameen. This man was trying to dictate her life. Yeah, subhanallah. Sister, I design mobile. And yeah, my Allah reward you, brother. Inshallah. So subhanallah, yeah, I really couldn't understand that. Like, how could you, anyway, may Allah protect us from it. So when it comes to maybe I'll go a bit more actually into it when it comes to the group thinking and how this actually plays out in a lot of our daily interactions and the negative aspects of it, and why, inshallah, we should actually be really mindful of the information that we intake and question it, subhanallah, because questioning things is really important. And to not be a group thinker, that's what you need to do. You need to have self-belief. You need to be able to rely upon Allah and believe in Allah, inshallah, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will guide you to that which is pleasing to you. Oh, I didn't put my microphone on, so I think my voice quality is going to be a bit different now. I'm just going to plug it in. Mute me, so let me just see. I'm back on, okay. Well, anyway, alhamdulillah. This stream has really been interesting. Okay, so symptoms of group thinking. That's what I want to share with us, inshallah. So when we think of group thinking, so the first one is invulnerability. So members of the group share an illusion of invulnerability that creates excessive optimism and encourages taking abnormal risks. And this is what we saw with the video. Like, the young woman was saying that she felt that she was the exception to the rule. So there's a form of delusion in that process, if we think about it. So the next one is rationale. So this is where victims of this behavior, i.e. group thinking, ignore and they discount warnings of negative feedbacks that may cause the group to consider their previous assumption. So, for example, we could all attest to this, where we think something is, we shouldn't really do that. But then because you see other sisters doing it, or in your, small circle, you see other sisters that are, kind of normalizing or making things less than important, in your mind, you ignore it and you literally discount the warnings and the negative feedback. So when we think of like people that, listen and hear the narrative, like, being liberated, it's okay to have a boyfriend, it's okay to be curious about boys and about sexuality, and it's okay to be curious about drugs, it's okay to kind of dabble in that area. Subhanallah, these things, we know the consequences of them, we know the warnings are there, the negative feedbacks is there, because we do notice the ills of society, but then we just disregard. No, I don't want to pay attention. I want it to be us versus them. There's that sense of wanting to belong. The next step is morality. So what happens is with victims, because it is, you know, I know it depends. You could say victims in so many ways, but I think you choose to become a victim in this, especially if you don't see the difference between things. If you don't see, if it's not easy for you to make the distinction between negative feedback and positive feedback. So morality, when it comes to this, victims ignore the ethical or moral consequences of their decisions, and they believe unquestionably in the morality of the group. So think of society as just a large group. And you know, the video that I just played, they were a part of, you know, a little tiny percentage of society, of the collective consciousness. And you know, we hear that people say, hey, be liberated. So we're like, okay, excuse me, it doesn't matter about the consequences of my decision. If a boy likes me, I'll entertain it. It doesn't matter about the consequences of my decision. But the video, the young woman realized very quickly the consequences of her decision when he said to her that she's 35, she's old, she's a baby mama, she has a shady, you know, baby father, and she's average at best. That was the consequences of her decisions. Number 4 is stereotypes. So members of the group possess negative / or stereotypical views of their enemies. You know, so we co-sign each other on, you know, when we see religious people, for example, we see them as someone who's, you know, stopping us from living our true life, whatever that is. The next is pressure. So victims apply direct pressure to an individual, and this could, you know, be even in them expressing concerns or doubts about the group's shared views. I know, you know, sometimes when we talk to young girls, just because they want to feel accepted, they want to dress like their friends. Or if they have a friend that doesn't wear the hijab, for example, you know, it's more of the shared view of the group, like of their friends. When we talk about peer pressure for young teenagers, you know, people that start smoking, people that, you know, kind of experiment with drugs, all of these things are done in those, you know, adolescent stages as well. But unfortunately, as we get older, that's still there, you know, if we're not, you know, practicing Islam. So members are unable to express their own individual arguments against the group in fear of not being accepted. Then the other one is self-censorship. So by here, we're saying that victims avoid deviating from what the group consensus is, and they keep quiet about things. So if they have doubts or concerns about the group, they don't really easily express them. And victims of group thinking may also undermine the importance or the validity of their own doubts. So again, we go back to, I think, a few streams back when I spoke about self-belief. You know, every time we are faced with a form of testing or a circumstances or a situation from, you know, day-to-day life, just in general, the more you undermine the importance of, you know, your own concerns and arguments that are just for you, you know, your own individual concerns that you have, and you don't validate them, you know, you put yourself into doubt, which then makes you question things. So the next one would be mind guards. So victims of group thinking may appoint themselves to protect the group and the group leaders from information that may be problematic or contradictory to the group's view, i.e. decisions or cohesiveness. So if we think about this, that's what society does, right? but it's only when you get to a point in your own individual life that you realize the reality of the decisions that you've made, and that they weren't liberating you. They weren't coming from a place of empowerment. It was actually coming from a place of where other people can take advantage of you. We know that there's certain people out in the world that have agendas that, you know, financially benefit from you by you going out to work, by you, you know, buying all these things that they tell you to buy just so you can attain a relationship, just so you can find love. So, so when we think of the impact of group thinking, in essence, really, is that it values harmony and coherence over actual analysis and critical thinking. So in order for us, inshallah, to avoid being part of a this, you know, victimhood narrative of just, you know, being a herd that just follows, inshallah, it's for us to create groups where individual members of the group are, you know, can have their own uniqueness, can have their own individuality, inshallah. It's about cooperating and enjoying good. So if we see something positive, if we, you know, if we see a young sister on her own who out of all her friends chooses to, you know, still be a virgin, alhamdulillah, and not get deflowered. I heard that word the other day. I thought I might use that from now. Yeah, not get deflowered, or to keep her hijab on, where all her other friends might be, you know, entertaining boys or getting into mischief. It's about encouraging. It's about embracing and really, you know, talking life into that, you know, that little tiny seed where maybe she feels that little bit of shame or guilt if she displeases Allah, and she doesn't want to partake in any of these nonsense. See, I have there's someone that I know, and I was having this really serious conversation with them a couple of nights ago, actually. Oh, alaikum assalam. Thank you for joining. Makit Khan, I was actually thinking about you today. I was thinking, subhanAllah, I haven't seen you on the other streams. As a Muslim in the West, I wouldn't use term canon to refer to myself, Sisla. Okay, I guess you guys are. I'll send it to the sister by private message. Self-promotion system. Oh no, don't be silly. Sorry. Don't be silly. Sister, please reach out, inshallah, my email. No, please do, inshallah. What a pleasure. So when we think of, yeah, I was saying about this particular person that I know, and so she's 20. I know I don't want to say, she's in her early 20s and she hasn't been deflowered yet, right? And she was telling me that she has a few friends of hers, two of them, and the three of them, sorry, and they're Muslim. And apparently they had this, you know, interaction. And one of them basically said, you know, she ended up doing it, getting deflowered by someone, and she didn't really know the person that well either. And it was done in a way where she said it was because she didn't want to feel uncomfortable when she is actually, you know, when she gets married to her husband and that activity takes part. And I was really shocked. I was really shocked. And this particular person that I was talking to, I said, you know what, I hope you know that I'm so proud of you. And I could tell that there was like a torn for her, between wanting to stick to the path of Allah. And I was like, honestly, I was so glad and so grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that she called me and we had this conversation about it, because like I said, she's young, she's impressionable. A lot of these, you know, her friends, she's gone to the same school as since they were young, since they were pretty much, you know, babies. They were going and they live in the same neighborhood, so they're always with each other. And subhanallah, inshallah, I would like to think that I provided a safe space where we explored a lot of different things. And at the end, I just wanted her to know that she doesn't, you know, the urge might be there. And, you know, with society, like the pressure is real on our young youths. It really is. But at the same time, it's owning and being proud And knowing that, and the one thing that she said to me that my heart literally just melted, may Allah give her every bit of strength, and all our Muslim young men and women, I mean, is that she said if that happened and she made that mistake, she doesn't know how she'd be able to communicate with Allah, because it's her regular routine. She actually, like, you know, talks to Allah, and she talks about everything, and subhanAllah, and she said she wouldn't be able to, she can't even think how she'd be able to face Allah if she was to dishonor her herself in that way. And subhanallah, like that was just, I don't even know what to say. As a grown person, I was just like, wow, like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala must really love you to put that fear and that love for him in your heart, to want to please your, you know, to please your Lord, subhanallah. So inshallah, it's about strengthening ourselves. I mean, sorry, I'm gonna describe this. No, you need to move to Grenada, Caribbeans. Sorry, I've been busy, Sister Nour, mashallah. Your streams have been great lately. Oh, Jazakallah khairan. I've been catching up. May Allah reward you, inshallah. And I hope you're not keeping yourself too busy, inshallah. May Allah reward you all. So subhanallah, yeah, that was pretty much really it, about being a group thinker. And inshallah, I hope the video really helped us to see how people use this whole herd mentality to get us to go against each other, and at the same time, in order for us I guess it plays into our our feelings as human beings, wanting to feel needed, accepted in a relationship. But if group thinking is not something that's going to impact you in a positive way, then it's only going to be for another cause, and may Allah protect us from them. I mean, wow, may we be granted taqwa. Excuse me. I mean, Allahumma ameen, Rivet sister. I was so honored. I was just so proud. I think I might have laid it on too thick at one point, because I was just like, you know that Allah loves you, like don't. And I was like, and I didn't say don't do anything, but I did say, like, you know, whatever you do, is it going to be in your best interest? Is it going to be, you know, is it going to further your connection with Allah? Is it going to encourage you? And but yeah, I was like, I'm so proud of you, don't you dare. In my mind, I was thinking that. I would just scream. I was like, what? Get away from those girls. Get away from them. But then I know, you know, she's got a very beautiful heart, mashallah. And she definitely didn't want to cut ties with her friends either. But at that age, when you're, you know, in your early 20s, you want to explore life. And I could really hear in her voice the frustration of wanting to please Allah, but then at the same time wanting to build a career for herself, wanting to be able to find, you know, a potential suitor, and then worrying about her family dynamic, and then, subhanallah, it's a lot. I think our young people, they really go through a lot. And subhanallah, I think when we don't have Islam, we really suffer in this world. Like, even when we don't have a sense of moral compass, in general, I think because we fall prey to our nafs, right? To our lower selves. May Allah make it easy for us, inshallah. So what else? So maybe I could share, inshallah. So to minimize the risk, what could we do, right? So I think it's critical for us to allow enough time to research. So whenever we hear something, or, you know, whenever there is a decision that needs to be made in your life as a young woman, or as a woman in general, is take your time, consult with people who, inshallah, have maybe a bit more experience than you, consult the ulama, people that have, inshallah, knowledge as well. and maybe family members, if there are people of privacy, inshallah. And first and foremost, before all of that, consult Allah. Consult God. Pray istikhara with everything that you do, inshallah, because I know istikhara is definitely something that the Prophet ﷺ emphasized on, especially when we're making certain decisions. It could be minor, it could be major, but I think it's really important. So have time to discuss, so you're not just left again to your own device, because I think in order to listen to our own internal compass, because there is a sense of, when you do something, like, for example, I don't know, maybe you guys might have known, right, where, like, I know, for example, when I was an as practicing and I didn't have hijab on, if I saw a group of sisters that had hijab, or they came out of the masjid, or or I saw brothers that had the beard and the thobe, right, that there was always a sense of like guilt. I don't know what it was, but I felt something. I just felt a sense of like, I don't know, it was just a sense of shame. It was like, honestly, it felt like a sense of shame. Like, I felt really belittled, just in their presence, subhanAllah. And only Allah knows, maybe they would have been worse than me and just appearing Muslim, Allahu A'lam. But just in that sense of knowing the affiliation that they have to Islam, or how they appeared to be Muslim, I felt a sense of shame. I felt like I know I'm doing something wrong, but I'm not quite. I guess maybe the pull of the dunya on my heart is like much more stronger. And then sometimes what Shaitan does is that, to protect you from feeling like that again, so you don't get away from him, what he does is that he'll make you repel people that are religious or people that practice Islam, because in your mind the voice that Shaitan talks to you with is that, oh, I'm not good enough, oh, they're going to be judging me, I'm not practicing, they think they're better than me. So the Shaitan literally, or you're like way too far away from Allah. Like, look at all the sins that you've done. SubhanAllah. So there's a lot of self-hate talk that goes on in terms of your internal dialogue. There's a lot of shaming, criticizing, a lot of put down. And I just want us to know, those thoughts are not from you. They're actually from the Shaitan, because what he wants to do is take you away from even being in the presence. Because the more, and they say, like, to feel guilt in your heart is actually a sign of, inshallah, a sign of, like a sign of Iman. Like there's maybe like a little flickering of light that's still left within your heart. So if you do something and you have that sincere remorse, inshallah, it's a sign of, that you've got Iman. May Allah strengthen us, Ameen. So we have to fill in that need. Unfortunately, sorry, the next generation need US as active mentors. Like Pen Bowser tried to pick out a young sister from the masjid, sister brother for the brother, and hang out with them. Subhanallah. Fortunately, they don't have too many positive Muslim role models. That is so true. May Allah forgive us. Assalamu alaikum. Oh, I got to go much. Oh, wa alaikum assalam. Sorry, Jazakallah khairan for joining. May Allah reward you. You gave the niqab evils. I gave the niqab evils at Sister Talk. I didn't give the niqab evils. What do you mean? Please help me to understand, inshallah. I'll give the niqabis evils. Oh, in terms of when I said about the sisters, I think I didn't really give them evils. I just knew that, there was something deficient. There was something lacking within me. And I projected onto them that, alhamdulillah, they were a lot more closer to Allah than I was. So I think that's where I felt, even sometimes when we see nuns, like sometimes, not so now, I don't know where they've gone actually, but at one point near my high street, I remember, I don't know if there was a church not far from the actual main town, but there was a group of young nuns, and like summertime, I remember they'd come out, and obviously, you know, like I said, I wasn't, you know, that practiced, and so I just wore Western clothes. But I remember seeing them with their, you know, long skirts and the way they dressed, and even with them, I felt a sense of not jealousy, but I felt a sense of like admiration, maybe, like, oh wow, like you can submit to something higher, even though I knew, you know, they weren't clearly upon the truth either. But there was just that sense of awe of like someone giving themselves or submitting themselves to God, where they are part of this world, but they have a sense of reassurance within their heart. May Allah guide them and us all. I mean, I'm okay. Take care, may Allah. Oh, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Are you going? I'm okay. I took a sleeping pill. Okay, sleeping pill. I feel like oh, subhanallah. May Allah, inshallah, grant you ease, and may you have a blessed sleep, inshallah. Jazakallahu khairan for joining. Hope you have a lovely evening. I mean, she's talking about the stink eye. Listen, it was like a little bit of a side eye, I'd be honest, but it wasn't like in a horrible way. It was just, I knew that I was doing something wrong. Yeah, and you just have that sense of guilt. But I loved my sisters, subhanallah. I always made dua to Allah to be able to give me the strength, inshallah. You can't say that sister talk looks are deceiving and appearance don't make you righteous. No, definitely. Many do the most stuff, then dress up and act good. That is so true. Baba Dullah, thank you for saying that. But it's also about having husnul done. I think that's something that, you know, if I see someone and they are dressed a certain way, like, I don't know, when I see someone dressed in a religious or, you know, Islamic clothing, whatever, you know, that they're wearing, whether it's a thobe or a abaya or a niqab or a headscarf, or even generally sometimes having even really good manners. I've met some of the most beautiful people, you know, may Allah strengthen them, ameen. Their iman is immaculate, but then of course they have another aspect that they need to work on, inshallah, to obviously align them back to the way of the sunnah and the Quran. But mostly when I see people, unless I see them do something and I see it with my own eyes, like I literally witness it, I really try to have husnul done. Like I really, really try to have, inshallah, good thoughts about the person. It's difficult sometimes, but yeah, I try. May Allah make it easy for us. Side eye. Not a side eye in a bad way, Reba sister. It's like, you know, because you don't want, you know what it is? I didn't want them to I think maybe it's because I didn't want them, because I didn't have anything that outwardly showed I was a Muslim. So you could have said like I was just any normal, you know, person. You could even maybe have said that I'm Muslim because I wasn't dressed in a way that represented my deen. You know, may Allah forgive me. So I think maybe even the side eye, why I did that was because I didn't want them to catch me looking at them, just in case they might think, you know, why is she staring at us, type of thing. Yeah, from dust. Is it true that there are sisters who wear hijab just to protect their hair? Oh, really? I don't even know. I would say it's actually far worse. Stuff, not far worse in that sense, but I mean, like, when you wear the hijab, it actually sometimes breaks your hair off, especially your baby hair. So before, when I started wearing the hijab, I didn't know about all of this. So I just, you know, tie my hair up and then I'll put on my little cap before my hijab and then I'll put my hijab on. And then afterwards, I'm like, wow, my hair looks like it's thinning. And then a sister, you know, hooked me on it and she said, you know, you need to get silk. So like the little under cap, get a silk one, because the other one's like, it tugs, you know, against your hair. So subhanallah. So I wouldn't say people actually wear the hijab to protect their hair. Maybe in the sense of, you don't, like, if there's a sister who maybe straightens her hair all the time, or, you know, she colors her hair and dyes it and does whatever. Yeah, sometimes if you are wearing the hijab, you don't need to do all of that stuff to it. So, you know, or you could give it a break, maybe. Allah knows best. Don't give the side eye too much, sis. That's how cross-eyed people. Astaghfirullah. Do you know what? You really get people into trouble with your jokes. Muki Khan. May Allah reward you. No, I wasn't given side eyes in a horrible way. In fact, I was, you know, enamored and in awe of them, mashallah. So yeah, subhanallah. So I come on here, right? And I'm like, yep, half an hour. And that's it. And then I'm here, and it's just so nice talking to you guys, mashallah. It's quite addictive, YouTube, you know, because you can just come and talk about one thing for hours. But yeah, inshallah. So let me not make this too long. And I haven't prayed Isha as well. I've actually delayed my Isha Salah tonight, so I need to go and pray now. And inshallah, I will catch you guys soon. Please stay tuned for, you know, up and coming stream. I do random ones just only because sometimes I might not be able to keep to the time, and I don't want to put something on and then, you know, then it gets, I guess I don't come on, which is not good. I hear someone complaining, so I was wondering, I think his point was not everyone wears hijab for the right reasons, especially in the Muslim majority communities. Okay. Yeah, do you know what? That could be the case. That could be the case, but only Allah knows. And you know what? Maybe it's just easier to, I guess, protect. I enjoy the random rant. Alhamdulillah. Not in the UK though. No one wears for that. Yeah, I would agree with Amal. Sorry, Revet sister. Apologies. I would definitely agree. I haven't come across someone. I think most people that don't wear the hijab, just because of the connotation that hijab, you know, has in the media and the way people see it, I think they wouldn't put it on just because of the, you know, the negative connotation to it. But if they do have the strengths, it actually is, I think, for me, it takes a lot of strength to put it on. And I don't think if a sister chose to put it on, she would put it on just for the sake of putting it on without it having maybe more of a deeper meaning for her. Inshallah. Inshallah. So Jazakallah khairan, and I will catch you guys soon. I pray that you guys have a blessed rest of the week, and inshallah we will talk soon. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you all for joining. Bye.